Is everybody here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So let's start with
Good
today's
evening,
session
ma'am.
of debate. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Has India made a big mistake by supporting Palestine in the Indian Palestine war? So let's just jump into it. Who wants to come first? Introduce yourself and just by the name. And if you are against and for of the topic, and start with your statements. Who is coming first? You guys can hear me?
May, ma'am, may I?
Yes, Ayush. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, good evening, ma'am. Myself, Ayush Tambali from ET&T, and today debate topic, as we know that I speak against the topic. So, for first of all, I say that no, India not do any mistake by supporting Palestine, because when we talk about globally political politics in Palestine, the whole Palestine is supported by Arab countries, and the relationship with India and Arab countries are very good, as we know that. So, if we not support Palestine, then this will also affect with the relationship with the Arab countries also, as we all know that we are also dependent with Arab countries in many ways. Like there are many Indians who are going for Arab country for the jobs, and also the most important thing is the petroleum. We are almost dependent for the petroleum to the Arab countries. So if we not support Palestine, so it is also affecting the relationship of the relationship, and also we see that in this pandemic also the Saudi Arabia is sending oxygen 80 million 80 million ton of liquid oxygen to the India. So I think India not do any mistake by supporting Palestine. That's it. More.
Okay, Ayush, thank you.
Welcome.
Next. You guys must have prepared for it if you have come in the session. So just go on.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Khushi.
So myself Khushi Singh of AT&T branch, and I am against this topic that India has made a mistake by supporting Palestine in Israel-Palestine war. So I am against this topic, and I want to say that no, India has not made a mistake by supporting Palestine because Palestine is related with the Arab countries, and Arab countries are helping us with a lot of things like petroleum. They're providing us petroleum and oil, gases, and such things. And if we would have supported the Israel in front of the international community, so the Arab country would have become our enemies, and they would have not helped us afterwards. So and the second point is that if our Indian countries, a lot of Indian peoples are working in the Arab countries, so they are earning monies there and they are sending it back to India. So the Indian economy is also very good just because of that things. And the statement which the Indian government has made at UN Security Council was was that where they are in a support of the cause for Palestine, and they want two country to be there, like one is Israel and one is Palestine. So a lot of people were very unhappy by the statement because they thought that India should support Israel because Israel has also helped them a lot in the and they are having a great bond with them. So but they have not supported them because of some valid reasons, and the people of India are supporting both the countries. Some are supporting Palestine and some are supporting Israel, but the Indian government has to think several times before making any statement. So according to me, the Indian government should be neutral to both of them because both of them are helping us when we are in a need. And that's all I want to say.
Okay, Kush. Thank you.
Okay, shall I?
Yes, Kamlesh.
Okay, so the topic says that has India made any mistake when it is supporting Palestine over Israel? So actually, I'll be speaking for the motion that India has made a mistake when it is supporting Palestine over Israel. Why so? So let's range back to the historical times when the conflict actually began. It was around 1948 when UN voting was held. India voted against the formation of Israel. To be very frank, but later on we also recognized Israel as a country, but still we did not had any diplomatic ties with them. But still, in the 1971 war of India Pakistan, we were facing issue of ammo, we were facing issue of modern technologies. Then Israel, Israel's PM Golda Meir, who did not even had any sort of diplomatical ties with India, this gave us their ammo to us. Although they were facing the same problems in their region, that is, they were facing issues from Jordan, they were facing issues from Egypt and all the Arab countries, because we know the Israel is located in Middle East, so they have been cornered by they not been cornered, but they are surrounded by enemies all over the parts. So at that time Israel supported us. Now in the 1999 Kargil war, America had sanctions on us. We had some orders from Israel, and America even pressurized Israel to deliver the order late, so that we cannot overcome Pakistan in the war. But still, Israel, although Israel and America are two very close countries, still Israel, despite American sanctions, despite all the pressure from international pressure, delivered all the ammos to us. We were facing the issue of counter insurgency and terrorism. So we looked up towards a modern technological country, that is Israel. And what Israel gave us? Israel gave us a laser guided technology. Israel gave us surveillance technology and sort of drones. Even the Rafale's bombs, which we are now using, the spice bombs, are Israeli in nature. So we know that Israel have supported us over the years at time and again. When the issue of Kashmir, when the issue of Kashmir goes to the UN, Israel openly says that Kashmir is a part of India, and even before America or even before Russia, Israel was the one who supported us in the Kashmir issue. Whatever sort of diplomatical ties now Israel and India share, the 95% of the contribution of that diplomatical ties goes to the Israel. Not only this, why we in the latest conflict that happened recently, the Indian UN spokesperson Mr. Trimurti, what he said that we need escalation, we want escalation from both the sides. But I would like to say that we should have openly supported Israel, because it was not even Palestine this time, it was Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization based in Gaza. So why cannot we support Israel openly in this issue? Israel is, whatever Israel did is because of self defense. Israel defended itself. So why can't we support them in this issue? Even the countries who are supporting Palestine, or say Hamas, who are actually supporting Hamas, because we know Iran is supporting Hamas, we know Pakistan Pakistan is supporting Hamas. Pakistan is a country which needs money. We have seen that Mr. Shah Mahmood Qureshi, Pakistani foreign minister, visited Turkey. Although he should have visited Palestine, if the Pakistanis want to do something for the Palestinians, they should have visited Pakistan. The Turkey is supporting Palestine. So what Turkey is actually says one of the greatest diplomatic relation with the Israel. If they are supporting Palestine wholeheartedly, the first thing they should have done is to cut off all the diplomatical ties with Israel. Now, the countries like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, all of them have signed Abraham Accords. So, since they have signed Abraham Accords, they have recognized Israel. Honestly, frankly speaking, all the countries fear Israel. To be very frank, we should have supported Israel in this issue. And why should not we? Because in the cases, what Pakistan is saying, that Israel is doing all this thing because of religion. But the actual problem about the issue of land is because of issue of land, not The religion matter doesn't actually existed here. Even earlier, the issue of land was not there. It's issue of religion was not there. It's the issue of land. So countries like Pakistan and OIC, that is Organization of Islamic Cooperation, 57 countries included. So they have put on this issue of Islam. What Hamas is demanding? Hamas is demanding that Israel. Hamas is demanding the elimination of Israel from the land. This cannot be possible because now around 90 lakh people, 90 lakh people of Israelis cannot be removed from the land. Although Palestine have accepted Israel as a country, we have seen in the recent past when Mr. Yasser Arafat was one of the head of Palestine. Both the countries share one of the greatest bond ever. But now we can see that the bond got bitter day by day. So the issue is because of the countries like Pakistan who are putting their personal agenda. Because what Pakistan needs money, and how it can produce money. So we all have heard that recent Turkey Erdogan, what he commented, that we would be forming a Palestine protection force. So in the Palestine protection force, it would be a Pakistani general for sure, and they will get money from the countries like Saudi and UAE. Although Pakistan, being a beggar, have not yet given the interest of the previous loan it has. Uh, what they are all they want that all they want to get money from the Muslim Ummah. That is what they demand. And since countries themselves, OIC countries themselves, have not taken any further strong steps, why should India not support Israel in this issue? When when the enemies the Israel is facing is itself a terrorist organization, Hamas, and also the other terrorist organization, that is Palestine Islamic Army. They are also a terrorist organization. So in the fight against a terrorist, why should not we support Israel? Thank you.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Well said. Who's next?
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, go on. I just cannot see your name. Saurabh, yeah, go on.
Yes. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So today's topic is, has India made mistake by
Speak a little louder. Just speak a little louder.
uh
You're not
okay.
audible, Saurabh.
Okay. Am I audible now to
Yeah.
A
everybody?
little bit.
Now?
Just remove that
Because
earphone.
many
Last
complaint
time
me.
as well, this same thing happened.
Okay. Please increase your volume if this thing happens, because I don't know what the problem is. So so
Everybody else can hear him?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, Saurabh, go on.
yes. So today's topic is, did India did mistake? Has India did mistake by supporting Palestine in Israel Palestine conflict? So I am against the motion. So first of all, let me introduce myself. Myself, Saurabh Sahu from Electronics and Telecommunication branch, first year. So I think, according to me and research I have done, the India hasn't done a mistake by supporting Palestine. Uh, if we see the history, from history only, if during the time of Indira Gandhi only, India is supporting Palestine, and I don't think that if India support Palestine this time also, their relationship will affect with our relationship with Israel will affect, because from the past, in the past UN meetings also, India has strongly supported Palestine, whether it is the government of Congress or BJP in 2003 also. Vajpayee government supported Palestine in UN meeting. So the biggest the thing is that why India supported Palestine. There are some reasons, that few are that in historically, and in 2018, Prime Minister Modi visited Palestine, and he was honored the biggest honor of the Palestine, that is, I think, the gra- Grand Collar. it is the biggest honor of the Israel. It is given to very rare peoples, and Israel presented this award to Prime Minister Modi to and the statement was to this award was for his brave leadership. So Israel and few people, this is the thing, and many Arab countries are supporting Palestine. So in need to maintain the good relationship with Palestine, with Arab countries and Palestine, we need to support we need to support Palestine, because if we support Israel, other Arab country, we can have bad relationship with other Arab countries, and Arab countries are huge in number. Israel is only one such countries, and two-third of the crude oil is imported from two-third of crude oil is imported in India from Arab countries, mostly from UAE and Saudi Arabia. This is, and many of the as other speakers said, that many of the Indians reside in the Arab countries, so they may need to face some complication if you don't support Palestine. Uh, uh, and uh, and that's all. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. The next one.
Ma'am, can I?
Yes, Bhagyalakshmi.
A very good evening to respected club members. This is A. Bhagyalakshmi from CSE First Sem, and for today's topic of debate, has India made a big mistake by supporting Palestine in the Israel-Palestine war? I will be speaking for the motion. I would like to say on 16th May, Ambassador of India to the UN, Mr. T.S. Tirumurti, has made the statement that I reiterate India's strong support to the just Palestinian cause and its unwavering commitment to the two-state solution. Now, first, I would like to say that what is the two-state solution by Israel and Palestine? The two-state solution regards to the fact that they will make two different countries. First, since 1948, they were divided, and Gaza Strip and the West Plaza were differentiated. But according to the two-state solution, the Gaza Strip and the other part will be same under the Palestine, and Israel will be completely different. Since it is not possible now, and a lot of parts of Israel and Palestine are occupied by each other. I would also like to bring about the fact that India has made a mistake by supporting Palestine, since India has been the third greatest trader and trade supporter of Israel in the last few years, and for many years India has been a great supporter of Israel. As we can see, a lot of my colleagues have spoken about the fact that how Mr. Narendra Modi was respected and given the award of, like Saurabh said, in Israel. And in even in the last few years, when UN had made a voting on Jerusalem to make Jerusalem as the capital of both the countries, India had not voted for its support. And I believe in a situation like this conflict as a whole, India cannot make a complete support of either of the countries, say Israel or Palestine, but all the countries, including India, they should not take any sides of either of the countries, even with the fact that there have been a lot of casualties on both the sides. And we cannot forget the fact that even an Indian nationality citizen had died in Israel due to rockets from Gaza. And if we say that we support completely Palestine, then this would be completely wrong, even to the uh, Indian conflicts. And in conclusion, I believe that India could have made a neutral statement regarding both the countries, that taking either sides is wrong, but we have to encourage them and further clean up the mess that both the countries have started for the last 50 years. And if these kind of conflicts will sustain in the world, then it will create a lot of disputes between all the countries, and taking sides is absolutely wrong. So this is why I believe that India has made a big mistake, and it is not the say of India to tell that which country has done right or which country has done wrong, because in the last 1 month we have observed both the countries have made mistakes, such as Hamas by firing up the 150 rockets, with giving the ultimatum to Israel, and Israel shooting their own rockets to the refugee centers, where uh, a total of 268 people have died in Palestine, including 66 children. And in Israel, we have 12 children. We have 12 casualties, including one children. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am,
Who
can I?
wants to go next? Yes, go on.
Okay, good evening, Nama ma'am, and all my fellow participants. This is Gaurav Sharma from Triple E Fulton, third year. And before I start speaking, the first thing is we need to question ourselves is that did India really or actually supported Palestine? I would justify it by our Indian ambassador in UNO, which is T.S. Trimurti. When he started speaking, he was about neutral about the conflict between Israel and Pakistan, Israel and Palestine. But when he said, and I quote, India's strong support to the just Palestinian cause and its unwavering commitment to the two-state solution made him a strong believer in Palestinian cause. That means he was slightly tilted, if not strongly, was tilted towards Palestine. So this justifies the question, justifies the statement that definitely India was towards Palestinian side. Now, we have seen in past also that India has been a strong supporter of Palestine. Why I'm saying that, because if we talk about our former PM, uh, uh, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, that he was a very strong believer in Palestinian cause and was strongly against Israel itself. And our current PM is also belongs to the same party. So I believe there is some sort of ideology going on over here. Now, why India should support Palestine instead of Israel? The biggest reason I believe is due to the due to the permanent seat we need in UNO. The thing is that in order to get a permanent seat in UNO, we need to get 130 votes out of the 193 countries who are a part of UNO. So, in order to get 130 seats, if we suppose we support Israel, then the OIC, that is Organization of Islamic Cooperation, will go against us, and we cannot expect them to vote for us. So, OIC alone contributes of 57 countries. So we are excluding all those 57 countries, and if you exclude 57 countries, only 156 countries are left. And do you strongly believe that out of 136 countries, 130 of the countries will give us a vote? That is actually not possible. That is why we need to support Palestine so that the OIC does not go against us. Now, the second thing is that before let's talk about past. Uh, long time ago, there was no country as Israel. There was just Palestine. But there used to reside the Jewish community. So if suppose we cannot name every country as India if Indians reside over there. That is the thing. So, but still, Israel was made a country from UN, but a very small part was given to Israel. Later, Israel started capturing Palestine, and now almost 70-75% of the Palestine is now Israel. So the thing is, if we talk on that basis, that whatever you have conquered over the past, it belongs to you, then we can never question on POK and COK itself, because if we suppose if we go in international court and talk about the POK and COK matter, our biggest friend, I'll say, China and Pakistan will easily say that since you supported Israel over that conflict, you cannot say that since we have also captured POK and COK, then it belongs to us. So we will be speechless over there. So that is why we are not able to openly support Israel in this conflict. Now, if you also talk about Tibet, like we have seen that in 1959, China conquered Tibet, and if we go on the same logic that whatever you have captured over past, it belongs to you, then we can never even question to China for capturing Tibet. So in that front also we will fall. The second front we will fall over China is the South China Sea, which because we know that there is a conflict going on between China and Japan over South China Sea. If we support Israel today, then we can never question China for capturing the South China Sea, and that will certainly degrade our relationship with Japan itself. Because Japan will say that India has not supported us on this South China Sea matter. Now, we already know that our trade relationship with Israel is almost around 1% of the total trade, and our trade with the Arab countries is almost around 80%, 18%. So, just for one the sake of 1%, we cannot ignore the whole 18% concept. Also, the oil from Arab, we are totally dependent upon for oil over Arab. But since the scenario is changing, but still we are totally dependent upon for oil on Arab. The next thing is the export, that many Arab countries cannot manufacture most of the things, so they usually import from China or India. So if we suppose we support Israel, then they will stop importing products from India itself. Also, we have almost like 55 lakh employments in Arab. Around 55 lakh NRIs are reside in Arab countries. So if that should be considered itself. The next thing is that Arab, since we are not openly supporting Israel on any matter, that is why the Arab countries are not favoring Pakistan openly. We have seen in past that Arab countries have denied the loan to Pakistan, and also they have been silent on the Kashmir situation. So we don't want them to do that, because if Pakistan, we know that the biggest beggar in the whole world is Pakistan itself. So, and also we have seen that if we in past, if we used to search beggars or bhikari, Pakistan's PM photo, that is Imran Khan, popped up. So it certainly says that Pakistan is very eager to get loan from other countries, especially Arab countries. So we have to prevent that from getting, because that will directly impact the increase in terrorism in India. Now, if you talk about China, there resides a bigger Muslim community on which China dominates them the most. They almost like they abolish them. They don't even want them to go out or consider to be a Muslim itself. So if we let China the chance that we are supporting Israel, then China will never come up on the front, because we have seen that America is directly, let's say, impacting China on this bigger Muslim situation. So that way we can never support the America itself. That is the thing. And the last thing is, in what way we have to question to ourselves, in what way India is better than Israel. Israel has come out of the corona situation by vaccinating its most of the population. Israel is more than developed from us in terms of technology. Israel is more, let's say, per capita income is more in Israel. So in every front, Israel is almost better than India. Then what kind of support can we offer to Israel? That is the biggest question we need to answer. And Israel already knows what is our situation. So Israel understands the situation of India, but that it cannot openly support Israel. That is the thing. So there is a mutual understanding between Israel and India. That is why India has constantly supported Palestine, not openly Israel. That is my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, go on.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Deepak Kumar from Tripoli, 4th Sim. I think Israel always provides us weapon at the time of need, and India has a very good friendship with Israel. And India always follow non-alignment principles. So I think India should have been neutral state in that matter, like Russia. That's all. That's it.
Okay, that's all you want to say?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who's next?
Ma'am,
Yes, go on.
ma'am, my name is Kiran Patel from Tripoli branch, first semester. At the United Nations Security Council on Sunday, India not made a big mistake by supporting Palestine in the Israel-Palestine war because the relationship between the India and Palestine have been largely influenced by the independence struggle against British colonialism. The India do not support Israel because of diplomatic reason. Directly and indirectly, Indian support Palestine. The main reason India support Palestine is we know that if we stand with Palestine, then Arab country also stand with us. India major input product from the Arab countries are the petroleum products because petroleum products are low in cost. And recently we see that Arab country also import oxygen tanks and helps India. And many people from India working in the Arab countries and India needs petroleum products and employment. So that's why India not made big mistake by supporting uh, Philistine. Oh, that's thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kiran. Who's next? Come on, guys. Then we have to start the counter also. If anyone wants to go, just come up.
Ma'am,
Yes, Vapak.
good evening, ma'am, and ma'am, good evening, everyone who's present here, all of my friends. Ma'am, actually, I had the same thing to say, which Gaurav sir has already mentioned, that Israel is already aware of the situation India is in, and I mean, the Israeli and Indian diplomats are, behind the scenes, they are already in a very good equation, and Israel understands very well that India cannot openly support Israel in this case because of the uh, uh, Pakistan occupied Kashmir and the some parts of India occupied by China. So that is why, because not just in international courts, but if as we have seen that the matter is pending in the United Nations for a long time, I think since 1947 or 1948. So in that matter as well, it could be a diplomatic blunder that India could make, because then Indians would, I mean, then many countries in the United Nations would point out that you supported Israel that time, because and Israel had captured the land, and claiming the land. So now that China and Pakistan have captured your land, you cannot you cannot claim it back. Now the land officially belongs to China and Pakistan respectively. So yes, ma'am, that is it.
Okay. Anyone else? So I think we should start with the counter. You guys can question each other.
Okay, shall I?
Yes, Kamlesh.
So, one of my colleagues actually said that should not. India did a mistake by. Sorry, India do a mistake by supporting Israel. As also one of the speaker mentioned that the ideology the Narendra Modi government is following. I'm sorry, but since the 2014, the Israel-India relations have gone to its peak. Even before 2014, the relations were good enough, but after 2014, the Indian-Israeli relations have got to the peak. Also, the issue about COK and POK uh, that came into play. That is China occupied Kashmir and Pak occupied Kashmir. So the thing is, the issue of Israel and Palestine recent issue is about the land of Sheikh Zara, which is located in Jerusalem. So Jerusalem has got religious importance for Jews, Christians, and also the Muslims. So if we are supporting Israel on the issue of Sheikh Zara, because they have got the legal documents of around 1874 or something in the 19th century, when the ancestors of Israel, that is the Jews, bought the land from the Palestinians. So they have got this legal document. So we can support the thing about this legal document. Also, the issue of South China Sea, uh, which one of the speakers mentioned that uh, it's a dispute between Japan and China. I'm sorry, but it's a dispute between Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam, and also China. So it's not a bilateral thing. And so in this South China Sea dispute, China cannot actually occupy because US has most of the countries has got backing of US in this. So it's not a land which China has actually won in the war region. Also, many mentioned that Arabs will not support India if we are supporting the Israel. If we are supporting Israel, so let's see what are the Arab stance on the Israel-Palestine issue. The Turk, who proclaims to be the self-proclaimed leader of the Muslim Ummah, they say they have got their ties with Israel. One of the strongest bond of Turk they have got with Israel. The Saudi, already said that Saudi, UAE, and Egypt, these countries have signed Abraham Accords and have recognized Israel. They themselves are not ready enough to take strong steps. Not only this, and the issue of oil, that we are actually dependent on Arab countries for oil. So we can take a stance that the so even we have recently faced around $1 million. India have faced $1 million loss recently because of Farjat A. Farjat A is a oil field near Iran. So Iran have actually denied that to us. So we have also got the backing of Russia. Russia have got a huge amount of natural gas, and also we have Arab countries also need us as much as we need them, because we are the ones supplying weapons to them in a cheap rates actually. Because China, we have seen the case of China, whichever country China targets, it takes the country to debt trap. Take the example of Pakistan, not only Pakistan, but take the example of the countries in Africa. Also, someone said that Pak is denied loan because of India's pressure. I'm sorry, but Pak is already indebted for around $45 trillion, which is around 98.7% of GDP of Pakistan. So, if suppose take an example, if you have given loan to someone and the country have not even paid you the earlier interest, how can you give loan to the country again? So same is the case with Pakistan and Saudi. They don't ask for loan. They beg actually, because Muslim bhai bhai, they follow this principle. No country actually, no country actually will give them loan on this principle. The modern no, modern the modern countries need whether weapon import or export or money. So Pakistan is not providing them only cause of sentiments. They can't ask money, and that is why they are not getting the money. The concept, the thing that NRIs in Arab countries are Indians. So if we see the Arab countries development, expatriates, that is the Indians, are the one making their economy grow, because they need us. Also, they are saying that if we are not supporting Palestine, we will hurt the Muslim Ummah. So the thing is, the let's see, take an example of previously when ISIS had its terror in the Middle East. Many Muslims actually took shelter in Europe. Why not they took shelter in the Arab countries? Why not Pakistan is giving shelter to them? Because they themselves can't absorb their own people. So let's take example of Afghanistan. In the Afghanistan war, Pakistan asked America for money to feed the Afghani Muslims. What about the bhaichara they follow? They even asked Americans for money for the water, they are providing to the Afghanis. So there have been cases where the Muslim Ummah themselves have not supported the Muslimans actually. So why should we fear that? And why should not we come support Israel, who has always been a friend to us? Saudi Arabia actually supported Pakistan in the issue of Kashmir. Israel was the one standing with us in the issue of Kashmir ever since the matter went into the United Nations. So I deeply believe that is a great ally of us, and we should support it.
Okay, Kamlesh. Yeah, the ones who are against the topic can counter.
What I'd like to say is that Kamlesh has said that Turkey is a great alliance of Israel. I totally deny the fact, because what Turkey has done is in this conflict is they have proposed an idea in OIC that we should all the OIC countries should gather or contribute to a general army for Palestine, not in order to attack Israel, but in order for the defense of Palestine. So, how's the way holding gear from this side or from that side? Both are the same thing. So we cannot say that Turkey is with Israel, because we have seen that all the OIC countries are strongly against Israel, although they have certain dependency on Israel, but in their core in their hearts they still hate Israel. So that is the thing. Turkey is never going to support Israel in all those matters. That is all what I believe.
Sir, actually, what I said is that Turkey is against Israel, but it's not strong. It's not against Israel strong enough to end its diplomatic ties. If you'll see, Israel and Turkey share a great diplomatic ties. There is a huge amount of money export and import. So, if suppose the case of Pakistan actually threatened France to end the diplomatical ties with the countries. But if Turkey is that much against Israel, if it's hating the country that much, why can't it actually close or cut off the diplomatical ties? That was the point which I said, sir.
Well, the simple answer to that question is business. It's all about business. If you're getting business from someone, even if it is from your enemy, they are not going to cut the ties. And I'll tell you an example. Suppose you have a friend, or you consider him a friend. Suppose, and that friend of yours, suppose he gathers and from his other friends, he asks his friends to let's go and attack Kamlesh, but still he's showing that he's your friend. Then do you believe he's your friend or he's your enemy? So that is the thing. So on diplomacy front, it is all about business. That's it.
Actually, the points you said, sir, it's business. No country will ever hamper its own growth for any sort of organization itself. So that is why I said that India itself has got business with Arab countries. So same as you said that even though we are enemy, our import and export will not be harmed.
Right. We shouldn't take this to further. Let's move on to another topic. Okay, if we talk about the foreign policies or foreign relationships, we need to understand that there is a major conspiracy going on, because the two major superpowers like Russia and America, America will never let the European nations to rest in peace, because it's all about business, as I said. And if there is peace, there is no war, then they won't be able to sell their defense systems, like their rockets, missiles, fighters. They won't be able to sell weapons. So that is a major source of income for them. That is a business. So they will never let in the East, the Europe to rest in peace. That is what they want. And also, if they somehow reduce the power of the Arab countries by enforcing or empowering Israel, then it is indirectly going to hurt Russia itself, because the major power of Russia is dependent on Europe countries for their oil. So if the European countries become weak and their oil prices drop, indirectly, the Russian community is going to get weakened. That is what America wants. So America will never let peace in European nations. That is what it wants. And we have seen that many Nobel Prize winners from Egypt, or let's say Israel, their PMs itself have been assassinated. So who do you believe is behind all those crimes? So that is the major conspiracy going on. So we can never expect this conflict to become peace, because it is never going to become peace. So, but India needs to understand that if it supports Israel directly, then India will lose its friendship with the other OIC countries, which contributes a large amount of their of trade with India, and also its dependency on oil, and also the permanent seat factor. That is also very important. That is why we should always, if not, we should always support Palestine instead of Israel, because Israel itself understands the situation of India. That is the thing.
मैं कुछ कहना चाहूँगा कि क्योंकि इंडिया प्राचीन समय से गुटनिरपेक्षता के सिद्धांत पर चलता आ रहा है और अभी भी वो रशिया की तरह न्यूट्रल स्टेट को अपनाता, तो मेरे अनुसार उसमें ज़्यादा कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता, बजाय इसके कि वो फिलिस्तीन का साथ दे। और
Ma'am,
यदि
can
एक
I
बात
speak
और है
some?
कि
Yeah, you can openly say anything now.
Yes, ma'am. So I will say that as we are Indian, we don't support violence. So the only way to stop war is by creating external pressure on Israel. That is the only way that the war will stop.
Khushi, I would like to say that it was not openly Israel and Palestine. From Israel, it was completely the government of Israel, but from Palestine, it was Hamza, which were particularly more violent on giving the ultimatums and firing the rockets. It was not completely Palestine government. And I would also like to quote by Mr. Tirumurti that he in his speech on the conflict, he said that the indiscriminate rocket firings from Gaza targeting the civilian population in Israel, which we condemn, and the retaliatory strikes into Gaza, which has caused immense suffering and resulted in deaths, including women and children. So it is like India is making a conflict on its own statement that they have a support of Palestine. But I would like to just confirm that India has made it that it is a just cause of Palestine that they want a different two-state solution to the two countries, and they do want to finish the conflicts between each other. And we should not forget that. And even if Palestine, the whole, even as the whole, Hamza has only taken the casualties of 15 people, but when we talk about the civilians, out of 268, 15 is just a small number which we should not be forgetting. And India should not. I believe that there are two different sides when we talk about this conflict that has made India made a mistake by supporting Palestine and Israel Palestine war. It is that on first point we can say that the deaths and the violence which is currently happening and which has been seized on 21 May 2021, and the second is the more than 80 years of war which has been occurring between Israel and Palestine. So there are clearly two sides which we have to understand if we take the support of Palestine in the war. That's it.
Ma'am, can I say something?
Yeah.
There are over 250 Palestinians who died on the war, and there's, I think, about 18 people who are from Israel who died. So the ratio is so high. Palestine don't understand that they can't fight with Israel. So the only way to stop is this, to create external pressure, because Israel was very much sure that they will make greater Israel by capturing other countries. So to stop that, we have to do something.
Very well point said by one of the previous speakers that it was Hamas, not actually Palestine. And over the years, Palestine have actually confirmed or recognized Israel as a state. Who wants the elimination of Israel is Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestine Islamic Liberation. All the three have been recognized as a terrorist organization. So, in this issue, when what Hamas actually, what did we suffer? We suffered the loss of a citizen of India. That is Mrs. Soumya Santosh. Mrs. Soumya Santosh. It was so she died cause of Hamas rocket which was being fired towards Israel. Now, what Israel did to us? Israel, the moment after Mrs. Soumya Santosh died, the Israel Twitter handle tweeted about it and also made sure that no Indians now further will be harmed at all, because it was because of a technical failure of Iron Dome. So now, the Israel have also given honorary rank to Mrs. Soumya Santosh as the honorary citizen of an Israel. So we should just learn from the gestures of Israel, how openly they have been an ally of us.
The thing is, Hamas is not actually considered as a terrorist organization by most of the countries, like from China and like OIC countries. Most of them don't consider it as a terrorist countries, a terrorist group. But still, if let's say we have any situation ISI starts firing up rockets from Pakistan and to India, and they say that it is a terrorist organization. That is why we cannot we can not re, re, elevate. So that doesn't make any sense, because it is coming from a certain area which is considered a part of a country. So the whole responsibility lies behind the country, because if country is against it, it should take action against it. But Palestine never took action against it, because whole Gaza Strip is been under control by Hamas organization or terrorist organization. So it is directly. That is why every country is saying, is not say, every country is saying Israel versus Palestine, not Israel versus Gaza or Israel versus Hamas, because Hamas is considered as a part of Palestine now, and whatever action is being taken by the Hamas is now direct is considered to be the direct action of Palestine itself. That is the thing.
And ma'am, am I audible?
Is this Saurabh?
Yes, ma'am, am I audible?
Yes.
So many are saying that the relationship between India and Israel can go in vain if we support Palestine. The thing is that earlier also we have strongly supported Palestine in UN meetings in 2009 and other 2003, 2009, 2000. And there was only one rare moment when India didn't support Palestine. But as we see that from after the 2018, the trade between Israel and India has been increased drastically. In 2018, trade was very much around 1.4 billion dollars. So we can say that the after if we support Palestine also, the trade relationship between Israel and India will not go vanish away. And this is all business. And as we say that, and if we support, let's take example, if we support Israel, then as Kamlesh said that Muslim thinks that themselves as a Muslim bhai. So the thing may be that the trade relationship between other eastern countries may go in may vanish. So I don't think that trade relationship between Israel and India will vanish after we support Palestine.
Anyone who wants to say anything else? Kushi, you trying to say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go on.
So, ma'am, a lot of members were saying that Hamas started firing rockets in Israel. So, what was the reason to fire rockets? It was just because to support the Palestine peoples. As before this firing, the Israel government went to the mosque and fired rubber bullets and stone grenades to the Palestine peoples, and a lot of people died there. So the Hamas is not actually a terrorist group. It is considered as a terrorist group by Israel and many other countries, but it is not a terrorist group, and it is just a representative for those Palestinian people who are not able to fight against this Israel. That's it, ma'am.
Just to add on what Khushi is saying, I would like to say that in mid-April, Israel passed a law which says that in Holy Mosque in Jerusalem, Al Afra, more than 10,000 people can't attend a prayer or some in the and in spite the Ramjan and Eid is going to come. They are not. They know that very fact that many people, more than lakh and crores of people will come there as it is a holy place. In spite that the Israel passed a law which says that more than 10,000 people can't attend prayer in the mosque.
Actually, all this war was actually started by Hamas itself, because Kusi said that the Israeli forces entered to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. But why did they enter to Al-Aqsa Mosque? Because the Hamas organization actually did some. I'm sorry if I can't actually find the word. So Hamas actually interrupted Israeli forces, and they took shelter in the Al-Aqsa Mosque, because they very well know that a mosque being a religious place might not be uh, they might not be troubled if they are taking shelter in the mosque. So when they took shelter, then Israeli forces entered, which was actually it wasn't it did not work according to the plan of Hamas.
Okay, so we are out of time now. Anybody else who wants to go now?
Okay, I'll add the ending remarks from my side that uh, whatever Kamlesh has said, it is true to a certain extent. But the thing is that Israel has always been dominating over Jerusalem conflict, because Jerusalem itself does not comes under Israel or Palestine. It is directly controlled by UN itself. UN itself. So that is why Israel always wanted to have control over Jerusalem. That is why Israel has always dominated Jerusalem. But in this time, Israel took a step forward and went inside the mosque, which is strongly prohibited according to Islamic textures. So that is what made the spark. That is what made the spark. And Israel, we all know that Israel always wants or always considers that the war should happen, because war is the only way on by which it could conquer land. But as we know that it already has a project named Greater Israel. So it strongly believes in conquering lands. That is what is its ideology is. That is why I believe that this action of Israel was not not anything unnatural or unprecedented. It was quite they already sensed that it is going to happen, and that is why uh, they they I'll say they strongly they themselves made this spark so that the fire could come. That is their motive was. Uh, that is why we should, because the war is never a solution to anything. Both the countries lost many of their citizens, and that is why the ceasefire happened. But as Russia took their stand that both the countries have the rights to defend themselves, so that is why all this happened. And India also took that stand until they slightly moved toward Palestine, as they used to do from a very long period. So India never changed its stand over Palestine and Israel conflict, and I believe what they did is very correct, and will is going to benefit India in long term future itself.
This was exactly my question to Kamlesh, that supporting Israel also means supporting the inhuman activities that Israel has done on Al Aqsa Mosque and other innocent civilians of Palestine. So many questions are left unanswered. Like many of you said, that if the trade between India, other Arab countries, and India and Israel is not going to be affected by what India supports, then why not support a just cause, which Bhagya Lakshmi added, is the Palestine cause, the two-state solution. So I think a peaceful solution is what everyone requires right now in India. Since 1947, the moral support of India has been with Palestine, whereas the trade exchange is being continuous. The moral support is being with Palestine, and the trade exchanges with Israel. So India has been on a balanced approach lately, and let's see what comes next. All of you did a great job. You supported your points with some very good facts. So I hope some of you might have a clearer ideology now. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day.